Good morning, Mountain Patriot family. Back in the winter, I had promised that we would be doing some canning videos in the future, and the future has arrived. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make mock pineapple using that excess zucchini. So stay tuned. Because it is so warm outside today, I am making a half recipe of this mock pineapple using zucchini, so that way I can use my electric canner today rather than moving this operation outside and fighting flies and everything. I'm doing it in the house, and to keep the heat down, I am using my electric canner. And as I said, I've cut this recipe in half. This is 3 pounds of zucchini rather than a full 6 pounds. As you can see, I just kind of rough cut it. I wanted bigger slices. You can dice it if you would like. You can also shred it if you would rather have smaller pieces. Just whatever your personal preference is, it is going to come out fine no matter which way you cut it. But as you can see, I just kind of rough chopped mine. Now in this bowl, I've got 1.5 cups of sugar, and to it I'm going to add 3 cups of pineapple juice. Now this is pure 100% pineapple juice. It's not mixed with anything. It's not sweetened. It's just 100% pineapple juice. So I'm going to add these 3 cups of pineapple juice to the sugar and stir it to dissolve. The next and final ingredient is going to be 3/4 of a cup of lemon juice, and I am just using this out of a bottle and pouring it in there. If you want to fresh squeeze and juice your pineapple and lemons and all of that, you know, you're absolutely can do that. Remember, your kitchen, your rules, you make it the way you want it. So I'm just using the bottled stuff today, and it is going to work out perfectly. So let me get this stirred together, and I'm going to add this to the zucchini. In case some of you weren't sure what I was talking about when I was mentioning an electric canner, this is a Nesco that I bought a couple of summers ago. Well, this is actually my third summer to use it. I still prefer my mama's Presto canner. That's a stovetop canner that I can do many more jars in. This does not hold very many jars. Let me show you the inside. Now, see, it's relatively small on the inside. I can fit 4 quarts in here. Today I'll be using pint jars, so it does not hold the amount that my old Presto stovetop canner uses. However, to keep the house from getting heated up and to make smaller batches, this is perfect. It takes a little getting used to when all you've used is stovetop, but once you get past that learning curve, it is relatively simple. Speaking of learning, this is a little cheat sheet that I made for my Nesco canner that I keep on the inside of my cabinet. So when I need a reminder, I just whip open the cabinet door just to see, okay, what am I supposed to do next? Because I do not use it as much as I do my stovetop canners, both my pressure canners and my water bath canners. So don't be ashamed to make some written instructions just to keep handy when you need them, regardless of what you're using, because, it is nice to have things right there at your fingertips. And here we are. I've got my zucchini, I've got the pineapple juice, the sugar, and the lemon juice all in this stock pot here, and it is on medium heat. And I am just waiting for it. As you can see, it is just now coming to a boil. I am going to set the timer over here for 20 minutes. And since it is boiling, I am going to just turn the heat down on low, just so it'll stay at a slow boil. I don't want a big full rolling boil. I just want a slow boil. And I'm going to let it do this for 20 minutes and just keep cooking up that zucchini and that wonderful flavor. I wish you could smell this. This smells so wonderful right now in this kitchen. I'm just going to let it keep soaking up these flavors, and as soon as our 20 minutes are up, we'll start getting it in the jars. We're not quite halfway through the cooking process here, but as you can see, the zucchini is starting to cook down and get on a more of a translucent color. You will see this more and more as it cooks, and by the time it is ready to go into our jars, it will have a totally different appearance and look much like little pieces of pineapple when it's ready to go into our jars. I have my zucchini here close to my jars, and they are ready to be filled. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is with canning, I know a lot of people worry about some type of food poisoning or something from canning. Canning is just like any other type of cooking. Cleanliness is the key. I've got clean jars, I've got clean utensils, my pots are clean, my hands are clean. Everything has to be clean before you start. Just like any other cooking, you have to start out with a clean area. So everything here is ready, and I am just going to start ladling this into my jars. Now this is very hot, so be careful as you are putting it in here. I am going to leave a 1/2 inch head space. If you have not canned and you don't know what head space is, it is the area from the very top of your jar down to where your food starts. So I am going to leave a 1/2 inch head space. If I leave a little more, that is perfectly fine, because what I don't want to happen is it be too close to the top and it not seal well. And you know, it's called siphoning, when your ingredients don't have enough room at the top to expand, and it will siphon the ingredients from inside your jar out into your canning pot. So we don't want that to happen. So I am going to leave 1/2 inch head space. If you see these little gadgets that I've got here and you have not canned before and you don't know what these are, of course you've got to have a funnel to, I say you've got to. Some people may not need one, but I have to, or I'll have it all over the counter. So I start out with a towel because I know at some point I'm going to make a mess. Plus it keeps the jars kind of more stable. So I start out with a towel on my work area. I use a funnel to, of course, get things into the jar where they belong. And this gadget that I have right here in my hand is plastic. So, I mean, I could use a butter knife, but you know, I don't want to take any chance of chipping, and that's something you always want to check for at the top of your jars as you're washing them and getting them cleaned up, is run your finger around the rim, make sure there's no chips, no cracks, hold them up to the light, look at them, make sure that everything is good to go with your jars before you even begin, because you don't want a weak jar, you don't want things cracking or breaking in your pots or later on. So this gadget here, it is called, it's just a debubbler. I just run it around in there, make sure there are no air bubbles left. And then the next thing I'm going to do, a little off camera here, is I have just got a little bowl here that's got vinegar in it. Now some people may just use water, that's fine. But I just run around the topic. Again, it is once more confirming that I have no little chips, cracks, or anything around the top of my jar, but more, I say more, it's not more importantly, but in addition, it also cleans the top of my jar to make sure that when I put my clean lid, see this little rubber seal here? Hold it closer. This little rubber seal keeps things inside the jar where you want them to be, and keeps nasty things from getting into your jar. That is how your seal is going to take place. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. Do you see that there's some type of little imperfection right there? I've been noticing this on a lot of the jar lids nowadays, that there are weird things going on with the jars. They're substandard. A lot of times the seals are not as good as they used to be. But this one just came out, I don't know, again, I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm trying to get the light on it just right. But this just came out of the box, and you see that there is a little, it's almost like it's bent. I'm not going to use that one. Check everything before you use it to make sure. I'll have to go get another one over there out of my box and clean it up, and just make sure that everything, like this one's fine. See, it's supposed to have the little hump right in the center. That's when it seals, this little hump here will actually indent and show you that it's sealed. Let me show you this one though, again. See, this is off to the, if I can find it, is off to the side. That's not normal. That one's not good. So we don't want to use that one. So I'm going to put that on here. I'm going to get a ring on there. And I'm just going to do finger tight. Now, finger tight's a relative term. Your fingers may be stronger than somebody else's fingers, but you don't want to crank it down, because that will also sometimes cause your jars to crack. It will also cause, excuse me, it'll also cause siphoning sometimes. So We don't want that to happen. So that is jar number 1. And we are on our last jar. Just gonna finish filling it up with what's left. If I have any leftovers, that is perfectly fine because that will taste wonderful later just to eat as it is. Because I have to admit, I did taste some earlier and it is pretty amazing. Now some people put like yellow food coloring in theirs to, you know, make it look, I guess, more pineapple-y. I'm sure that's not a word, but and yes, I do have just a little bit left in the pot. That's great. But they do add sometimes a little bit of coloring in there just to, you know, I don't know, make it look prettier. But I think it looks pretty good just the way it is. So I'm going to leave it alone. I don't like adding coloring and things to my dishes. I don't see that it's necessary. It doesn't add food value. And I know that people say, well, you also eat with your eyes. I don't know how true that is. I have my jars in my canner. You see they're setting on the rack that is there. If you're wondering what that white stuff is that's in the bottom, that is cream of tartar. I have semi-hard water here, and if I don't put the cream of tartar in there, I will have, you see these little hard water spots that just came from the washing process? That cream of tartar will keep that from happening to the jars. I have used vinegar, but with these lids and the quality of them that we have now, if I use vinegar, it will immediately tarnish those lids and I cannot get that back off. So I have started using cream of tartar because it doesn't seem to do that. So now I'm going to add the hot water to these and cover it just so we are one step closer to the canning process. Okay, the jars are in there. I have covered them to the full line. And that is hot water, hot jars, cold jars. Remember that. Don't cross them over. Hot to cold, cold to hot will result in broken jars. So hot water, hot jars. So I am going to close this and lock it down. You hear that click? That is locked. And this lid is not just going to blow off of there. I know a lot of folks, just like with the Instant Pot, they get scared, afraid the lid is going to blow off. It is not. It is locked down. That is a safety feature, and that is what we want happening now. So let's get it set. All right, I have it set on exhaust. I am water bath canning, so I do not want it on airtight. I want it to exhaust. I am going to set it on water bath steam, and I am going to set the time. I'm sorry, I know it's noisy. I am going to set the time for my altitude, which is 25 minutes. So I am just going to set it for start. It will go through its process, and here in a few minutes I will show you how it starts exhausting the steam from the top once it gets heated up inside. A steady stream of steam is now exhausting from my water bath canner, so I am going to go down here where you can see that it is still waiting on me to give it final instructions, and I will push start again. So now it is going to start counting down those 25 minutes that it needs to finish water bath canning. All right, it has finished counting down, and we will wait just a few minutes to let it cool off before we open the lid.